Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. My name is Tom. Thank you so much for joining me here today on the channel. Man, the last month has been quite a wild ride. As most of you know, I moved to Pennsylvania from South Carolina on February 5th, and it's just been a wild roller coaster since that day. First and foremost, I want to thank everybody who has sent me emails and comments of well wishes while I was sick. About 85 to 90% of the way there now. Today is March 9th, and I'm cruising at about 3.5 weeks of sickness. And it started out as a cold, and then as it moved down into my throat and into the upper part of my lungs, it's just stopped there. And now I have wild coughs that come and go. You could probably tell my voice is still a little bit rough, but I'm I'm slowly starting to get around that mountain of sickness. We've just been kind of passing it back and forth to each other here in the house. It's actually been kind of a wild ride just because of that. There's, I think, 4 or 5 of us living under this roof right now. And, as with family, there's closeness, there's hugs, there's, sitting in close quarters. And, we've watched plenty of movies together where there was 3 or 4 of us on the couch. And needless to say, it's just been, who's going to pass the bottle to the next person. We never know. I've made several videos now that I felt better, that I was on the mends, but nope. The next day I would be feeling like a bus ran me over. And a few hours later I'd feel great. And then in the middle of the night I would have a cough attack and then lose a whole bunch of sleep. And then I'd feel like crap the next day. So it's just a vicious circle that we've kind of been going through. But, I'm trying to turn a new leaf, even though I'm still kind of out of it. I, made the effort to go to work. I made the effort to, do some reading, do some writing, you know, just trying to stay on the up and up, because it's very easy to just lay down in bed and sleep through the days. And the next thing you know, you're, a month gone by and you haven't done really anything to further your life. And as we all know, we only get one life to live. If you sleep it away, show's over. That's it. So I'm trying to stay positive. I'm smiling. I'm trying to laugh a little bit more. And I'm also going through my range bag, trying to take care of some cleaning and whatnot of my firearms and, their accessories. Because I intend on going shooting tonight. So we'll see how that goes. I just feel the need, just do something. Do something you love, and do something that's going to be difficult for you to talk your way out of it. And that's how I am with the range. It's really difficult for me to talk myself out of it once I kind of make that choice to go. So I'm going to get my bag ready. I got my gloves here. By the way, these gloves, phenomenal. These work very well. Venture Gear Tactical. I don't know if you guys are into shooting, but really nice stuff. And then I got these eye protections from Magpul. Really good stuff. If you guys are interested in my shooting gear, or doing more videos related to shooting, I may start up another channel, because I don't want that content affecting this content. But yeah, there's a lot more actually happening behind the scenes with these firearms. So we'll get to those another day, a little bit more in depth. But anyway, so I made it here on February 5th, and pretty much within the first week, I got really sick. So one of the reasons why I was kind of pressed to get out of South Carolina was because My son, Edward, and his mom moved to Ohio in December, and it was just a very, very difficult distance to cover regularly. I knew it was going to be tough. It was, 600 some odd miles, and that pretty much takes, half of the day, to go one way, and then you're kind of done. Whereas I needed to be in a position where I can go out there and back in one day. And what's really great is being here in central Pennsylvania, it takes between 5 and 6 hours to get there, and then 5 and 6 hours to get back, which is equal to what one trip from South Carolina to Ohio would have been. So it's about half the distance, and it works out really well. I went out to go see. I went out to go see them on my birthday, the weekend of President's Day, where he didn't have school on Friday and he didn't have school on Monday. So on Thursday, I went out. I left here at, I guess it was about 9 o'clock in the morning, and I got there at around, I don't know, 2-ish or whatnot. And then I spent some time with them. I waited for Eddie to get back from school, and once Eddie was back home, packed his bag, threw it in the car, and we returned back to Pennsylvania. It was a really good drive. We did drive through a blizzard, but as I've mentioned before, Pennsylvania has a really, really uncanny ability to keep the roads clean just in real time. There's very few incidents where there's large amounts of buildup on a road and the roads get, unsafe or whatnot. And my car, with its, 2.5-year-old tires, not meant for snow, does very good in the snow. Also, the traction control helps and whatnot. So that first trip was really, really a decent test. I will say, though, let me back up a little bit, that the drive from South Carolina to Pennsylvania did do some damage to my car. And I took my car to the dealership. Oh, God, that would have been a week and a half ago. No, a week ago. And I had them pretty much check it over. They did an oil change. They checked all the fluids. Things that they can do kind of on the fly, I had them do. But I also asked them to do a deep inspection. Not just a visual inspection, but a deep inspection. And the state of Pennsylvania actually requires annual safety inspections, so I had them do that as well. You actually need to put a sticker on your windshield for that. The state actually requires emissions testing as well, and you have to go to an inspection station for that. Fortunately, my car is a diesel. I don't need diesel, and cars are exempt from emissions, which is great, but you still need to do a safety inspection, so I had that done. And they had the car for about 4 hours, and they found some very interesting damage. And a lot of it has to do with overboost conditions. And essentially, I openly told them I towed a lot of weight in a trailer. And they said, well, even though these cars can tow, should you tow? And I said I didn't have a choice. It was something I had to do, and now I'll pay for it. So fortunately for me, there were a couple of high-pressure oil lines that cracked and essentially broke. One of them's leaking at an elbow joint. I had a boost pipe that split, which was kind of interesting because I didn't get any check engine lights or anything, so I guess it's holding enough boost that the car is like, oh, well, we're still within whatever tolerances I need, but I'm not going to throw a check engine light. But I could hear it. I could hear the flutter of the turbo. It was very pronounced inside the cabin. Under accelerations, you could actually hear the whine and whistling of the turbo, which in these cars, it's pretty much designed to not be heard. And a lot of it has to do with the emissions requirements. You need a certain type of inflow of oxygen or air, whatever, for the combustion to be proper, the boost to be proper, and then the exhaust to be processed properly with the particulate filter and the selective catalyst reductant, which diesel exhaust fluid, for those who don't know. All of that stuff has to be within certain tolerance for the car to function properly. So the car functions, but it just has parts that are now blown out, um, you know. And a lot of it has to do with the incredibly high boost that I was putting it into going up hills in Virginia. And it was also incredibly cold. It's just one of those things where I knew going in that I was going to hurt my car. And there's a testament, to be said that the car still drives right now. And it's got, everything from speed tape, the aluminum tape that's used to, fix a seam on an airplane. They used it to wrap around some of the fittings just to hold the boost in a little bit better and prevent the pipe from just totally obliterating itself. Until they were able to order parts and get them imported from Germany. And that's actually that's happening now. On next Monday, I drop my car off, and basically the car is going to be with VW for 2 days. They're also going to do a timing and water pump replacement because, I don't trust the dealer that I bought the car from, essentially. And I have put, 35,000 miles or so on the car since I bought it. And I want to be sure that, the timing is done by, a trained technician that has all the tools and supplies that he needs to do it. The last place that did the timing on this seemed like a small shop. The cost to do the timing was less than $500. And I know that may have been like a dealer price that they had, but I got the invoice for it as part of the sales documentation to prove that they did the timing. And that to me is incredibly low. Every single vehicle that I've ever had timing stuff done on was over, $800, $900. This one is going to be no different. This one's actually going to be a very expensive fix. I don't exactly know what the timing part of it will be, but they've already kind of given me a heads up that the repairs will be close to $3,000. Now, to some, that might seem like a lot. To me, I want to go 500,000 miles on this car. I want to get to 500,000 miles. And while I'm at 500,000 miles, I then want to say to myself, I'm going to go 1,000,000 miles, because this car has just given me so much joy to drive that I just want to continue driving it until I can't drive it anymore for whatever reason. And until then, I want to invest in it. I want to keep it, solid, stable, reliable, all those nifty words that come to mind when it comes to keeping a vehicle much, much longer than it was designed to really be kept for. The car is 11 years old, but I feel like it's 2 or 3 years old. I installed the new head unit in it. That head unit is actually, it's not the best, but it was decent for the price I had, for the price I could afford at the time that I got it. It does work. The backup camera works when it wants to. I'm going to, when it's warmer, now that it's getting warmer again, I'm going to try to spend some time to try to maybe tune the settings of that a little bit. Maybe there's different dip switch settings that make the camera function a little bit better. I'll research it. I'll contact the manufacturer and see if they have any advice. I don't know if they do or don't. I'll try to use my engineering brain to make that a little bit better. But all in all, to have a car that has CarPlay in it, to have a car that's 11 years old and it has, heated seats, The air conditioning's solid. That car will turn into a refrigerator in seconds after you start it. The fact that I pounded it into the ground and it just got up and said, I know you didn't mean to hurt me like this. I'll keep going for you. That to me is like, I will spend money on you because you're doing this for me. Love your car type thing. So that's my intention with that car, and I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure they'll fix it, and it'll keep on going. As long as you replace the oil, as long as you replace the fuel filter regularly, and you make sure everything's clean. There's no leaks. There's no issues diagnostically. I do have the new cable from what's it called? The Rostec, the VAGCOM cable that plugs into the car and allows you to use VCDS to basically pull a whole report from the car, get all the computers that are inside the car reporting out on their state. Is there something wrong? Is there something missing? That way you can go, ahead of time. Even if there's an issue that's not reported with a check engine light, you can go in, boom, say, hey, my car's reporting this. Can you fix it? And if the price is right, then you go for it. If not, you source other solutions, whatever that may be. But for me, it's easy enough to just, spend, I don't know, $70, $80, $90 on a fuel filter. They do check for water in the fuel and oil change and stuff like that. It is special oil because diesel emissions require specific oils to be used. It's called 507 compliant. That's a Volkswagen standard that, the oil has to meet that. For soot purposes, it has to be able to trap a specific amount of soot and also, filter it out and, keep going. I've also, I have a personal policy where I cut all service intervals in half. And you guys may know that from a year ago when I did the Kubota videos on the old channels. For those of you who were subscribed to that channel, I did a 50-hour service on the Kubota. It's diesel as well, instead of waiting until 100 hours. So I cut it in half. Now with the Kubota in storage, I'll do a service on it when I get it back. So it'll be somewhere around 75 hours, I think. So it's close enough, but I always kind of do that, and just to be safe, because I'd rather spend, $90 more frequently than at some point spending, potentially $8,000 to $12,000 on a new drivetrain because I missed a service interval or I didn't follow my own kind of gut feeling when it came to that. So I've had bad luck with cars in the past. I've had a timing chain snap while on the road, and the car literally just bucked. It felt like the back wheels came up off the ground, slammed back down, and then the piston came through the top of the engine. That was decades ago, but still, it happened. I kind of learned from it, And I know oil's important. I know lubricity and, the viscosity of it and all that stuff. Very important. And as time goes, and if you drive your car like really hard, which I tend to because I'm just I get off the line really fast. I accelerate really fast. I merge into traffic really fast. I have a very heavy foot, so I make sure that all of those components are right on. The only thing I'm not replacing with this service, because it's just very expensive at this point, is the clutch. The clutch is fine. I mean, if I start having issues putting, the car into specific gears, then I'll address it. But right now, it shifts smoothly, it accelerates no problem. I don't have any slippage. It doesn't seem, it's definitely worn out because I do have to pull out quite a bit to get moving. But, as the clutch ages and as it wears down, your leg just gets used to how far you have to pull out before it grabs. So you have that balance. You know, I very rarely stall my car. I have stalled it, but, sometimes, I've had it at times where I don't get the pedal all the way, and sometimes I slip off, and I've had it stall out just because the clutch popped up off. And yeah, it is what it is. But as far as repairs go, I don't think it needs it yet. Soon, but not now. I'll give it another year, maybe. Maybe next spring I'll look at replacing the clutch. It all depends on how the summer is and how the rest of this season goes. But now that it's 65 degrees outside, the snow's pretty much gone. Those massive piles of snow that I showed in that short are actually gone. The 12 feet of snow melted in a matter of 10 days, which was pretty impressive. But now that the temps are getting up there, I do know that next week we're going to have more snow. At least they're calling for it. They're calling for another Arctic blast. I don't know how it's going to affect us here in central Pennsylvania. I know it's going to affect New York. I don't know. We'll see. But so far, everything's going well. Day by day, I'm getting back to my, my motivational, the motivational part of it, which is where I get up, I tell myself, you know what, today you're going to do something, you're going to be productive. And even last night, before I went to bed, I did some work for a client, and I felt really accomplished, like it was a job well done. And I almost felt like, jumping up and down all happy and giddy because I got it done. And I didn't feel like I didn't feel bad about it. I didn't feel like the sickness was really affecting me. So why not? Get up, drink some water, eat some fruit, whatever, get better. And as time goes on, the lungs will heal, the throat will heal, and that's it. As far as my mind goes, and, from here up, it's clear. I don't have any headaches. I don't have any congestion. Basically the functionality from my throat up is perfectly fine. As long as I don't have to talk very long, it's perfectly fine. Let's see. So just to sum up the last month, I got my Pennsylvania driver's license. I got the title to my vehicle. That's all taken care of. I got my business stuff transferred from South Carolina, so all of the business addresses, the operating rules and documents and articles of formation and all of that stuff in Pennsylvania, that's all taken care of. So my business is legit, my car is legit. There was an interesting issue where Pennsylvania this year started doing new license plates, and I'm not outside of the car, but next time I'm out there, I'll show it to you guys. But I'll share the issue with those license plates in this video. They used to have these blue and yellow license plates that were really legible and clear, and they had a little visitpa.com website on them with the Pennsylvania name up on top, and then the license plate number in the middle. Very clear to read, very, clean, crisp, legible, perfect. This year, they decided to run this whole Let Freedom Ring campaign, where they changed the Welcome to Pennsylvania signs on the freeways. They took down, they used to have the ones that spanned, they were like on an arch on the freeway. They took those down and they just put a sign on the side that says Welcome to Pennsylvania. Used to be this bright blue sign with white text, super legible. And now they have this white sign that's barely legible. And the reason I say this is because the 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 font that they used on this plate is confusing cameras. So like the turnpike gantries at the toll booth, or express lanes that run through like North Carolina. In this case, I have one of those Easy Pass transponders that I can use in multiple states. And the issue that is now appearing, it's quite a huge issue, is the zeros. Normally it's just like an O, right? Pennsylvania decided to cross the zeros out. Like in some fonts, you would have. Trying to see if I have something here that has a crossed out zero. Um, no, this is all normal. But in some fonts, if you look at the zero closely, it's like an O, but it has a line going through it on the inside, and it's it's printed on the plate in a way that it makes it look like the number 8. So instead of a zero with a line through it, it's now the number 8. So the state is now having to spend millions and millions and millions of dollars, whatever the cost is, to replace all the programming that they've used in the past with new training for their cameras that will be able to discern an 8 from a 0. It's an incredible issue, to be honest, because there are some people who have been getting many tickets, and this is just since January. So in the last 3 months or whatever, 2.5 months, there have been issues of reported tickets being sent to people's homes, and they're like, "Well, that's not my car. Well, that's not even my license plate." But the zero was read as an 8, and those conflicts are now creating an issue, and they now have to go back and put people in places where AI was originally doing all the work, where they would have an image come through, AI would analyze it, look up who the registered owner was, and boom, it would issue a ticket, and it would just send it out. It would just mail it out. Excuse me. But now they're like, oh my God, AI's got to process this, and then the human has to verify it before it gets sent out. So it's really an interesting issue. I'm not a fan of the plate. I think I'm going to have to get a custom plate and support a different cause to where the design of the plate's a little bit different. Um, and again, that's more money to be spent, but um, I want my car to look decent, and I don't want it to. The license plate is a big deal with a car, So when it comes to the car, so be that as it is, I'm probably going to look into that at some point, but for now, it's kind of down further on the list. Um, let's see. I think that's pretty much it. Oh, I did buy some GMRS radios that I really like. These are the 5RM models from Baofeng. Um, I do have ham radios, but I don't have the license to transmit on those. Um, and also, those are now in storage, so I don't even know like when I'll get them back because I don't know when I'll actually be moving back into my own home. But that's all for another day and time. These radios are great for emergencies. They run on the family radio frequencies, which are the normal generic walkie-talkies, and they support the entire GMRS spectrum of frequencies, which is great. And also they have weather alerts, emergency frequencies, and all that stuff. So, cool. That's it. God, it's been a 30-minute video. I can't believe that. I feel like there's still a few more things to talk about. But I will summarize basically. Duchess is doing well. She is a little less on the stress and more on the give me treats side of things. So whenever somebody walks in, she'll point them to the drawer where her treats are, and of course, she'll get her treat, and that's that. Um, the state of Pennsylvania requires dogs to be licensed, so I got her a license, and she has now a license on her collar that states that she's a legitimate dog in the state, not you know, a wild dog or what do they call them? Yeah, wild, homeless dog. Um, and also, in October, I have to get her updated rabies shot, but she's good. Um, she sleeps better here than she did down south. I think it just has to do with the fact that there's more people of her here. She gets more attention here. She's more at peace. There's very few times when she's alone. Like if I have to go somewhere and, she has to be obviously left behind, there's somebody here to be with her. They'll pet her, they'll allow her to lay her head on their lap, and just, she'll have peace and comfort knowing that she's not alone. She hates being alone, and she hates being in a state of constant stress. So she's at that point where she's like, okay, there's people here. I'm okay. I'll be okay. There's somebody to feed me. There's somebody to give me water. I'm okay. Everything else, non-issue. Food and water, issue. Treats, life and death. So she's, she's just that kind of a dog. But yeah, so we talked about the car. We talked about Duchess. We talked about myself. I do want to talk more about what I'm doing all this firearms training for, but I think I have to get a little bit further along in the process before I actually commit to that part of it. But that's pretty much it. Thought I'd make a video, update you guys a little bit. It's been a while since I did a long form video. And hopefully there'll be some, videos, in the pipeline. I have to build a pipeline of videos essentially, to, go through and start putting up more videos. It's been a while. I've used the umbrella of sickness to, sleep a lot and, try to recover, but that also keeps me away from doing my work. It keeps me away from creating content for you guys, and so on and so forth. So with that said, I'm going to leave this video off here. I want to thank you guys for watching, for joining me. I want to send a special thank you out to all of the recent subscribers, to those who have left me messages with kind words and, words of healing and whatnot. I can't tell you how much those comments mean to me. They made me smile at a time when I thought I was dying. So I really appreciate that. And more than anything, I just wish you guys all the best. Have a great week ahead. And until next time, thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.